Bird feet. If you look around at a lot of bird drawings, people have a drawing of a bird and the feet are hidden behind the leaf, because there's all those toes and things. And how do you handle that? We're going to unpack that today so you never have to be scared of bird feet again. And it's not going to be that scary. It's actually going to be kind of fun. We're going to look at bird feet and legs, and that's really going to help us be able to draw those in our journals. My general thought on this is don't get really wrapped around the axle and make it into a thing. So I'm doing a whole class on it, but that doesn't mean like, oh my gosh, it's bird feet. All right, just like, yeah, it's bird feet. Okay, not a big deal. Because if you get stressed out about bird feet and they become a thing, then you're going to get to the part like, I'm going to draw some feet on my bird. And then it's kind of scary. And so you'll press more. And then like, no, I'm going to erase that. No, that's not right. And then you're going to overwork it. No, that's not right. And then there's going to be like all these smudges because you erased it 30 times. And then people will, like, when they look down at the picture, all that busyness and kind of pressed harder and stuff, people will look right at the bird feet. And they're like, oh, you don't like drawing bird feet, right? And but if you've got this loose sketch and it's handled loosely, then handle your bird feet loosely. We're going to take a look at the start here at just the journals of some sketches by a bunch of different illustrators and naturalists. I'm going to look at how they handle bird feet. And what you're going to generally notice is that they're not going gonzo on little scaly detail. And there's a few general things we should know about bird feet. And then you're going to find that, oh yeah, I can totally draw these bird feet. So here we go. We're going to start with the bird foot cam. I've got on my desk a pile of drawings by different illustrators. We're going to see how different people have handled this. And oh, there's another book that I want to get. I'm going to run back over to my shelf because remember, there's another one. This is going to be good. Right. And also in this, you'll get to see some examples from a number of different illustrators. And if there's somebody here that you like, we'll tell you the book. And I tend to, rather than going out and having to grab these things on Amazon, I like used bookstores. And there you'll find amazing books with like sketchbooks of birds showing up in these used bookstores all the time. Because people who really like this isn't their jam, they kind of look at this like, why have this book around? But for us, we're like, oh yeah, I'm going to totally geek on that. So I'm going to show you what how these people handle bird feet. Here we are. All right. So first, Charles Tunnicliffe, and Charles Tunnicliffe there's lots of stuff with pencil, gouache. Look at these little bird feet. Those are little triangles. Those are gray triangles. Let's go for some perching birds instead of. There we go. All right. So here's a bird without feet. So you ever left the feet off your bird? It's a noble tradition. So we've got some straight toes, sort of sticking out here. Something I want you to notice that what the angle that you're not seeing on these feet, you're not seeing, the foot coming down like this, and then, all the toes really splayed out. Because if you're looking at toes that have that pattern, but you're looking at it from the side, then those toes, even if they are, evenly spaced like that, you might be seeing them as kind of closer together. So here, it looks like this toe is shorter. This toe coming down towards you. But that's a shorter toe. That's a shorter toe because it's foreshortened. It shows you. So these just have, there's a line on either side, and then it's going out to a slight little ball and then a hook. Here is a woodpecker foot. And we'll kind of get into like different birds have different arrangements of toes. You notice that the toes here are, you're going out on a toe. There's a ball at the end. There's a hook of the nail attached to that. Right in here is giving a little bit of an indication of scales on there, but not really kind of getting like, here's the edge of this scale, here's the edge of this scale. Yeah, there's some scales in there. On these ones over here, there's just a shape of a foot. And here you're seeing this totally from the side. So there's one that goes back, others that go forward. Also note that on this foot, so you've got toes coming in here, but right in here, we'll be talking a little bit more about this. There's a little bit of a bump so that the foot is coming in, attaching to a bump, and then the toes are coming out from that. We'll be kind of looking at that a little bit more. So that's a really nice simplification. Look at this one. What is going on here? Well, it's really not showing much of the foot. You can see that there's originally a pencil line. There's a pencil drawing. The artist originally decided that the toe was going to come back here. And then when it got into kind of putting in the watercolor, that kind of disappeared. I love this bird foot. This bird has a smudge under it. Right? A little gray smudge around where the foot is. Huh. Can you do that? Why, yes, you can. Right here, we have got a leg coming down, and then there's just sort of a bunch of little lines saying that there's some kind of a footish thing going on here. Which is which toe doing what, where, it's not really clear. Here, didn't even draw those front toes. Huh. What about over here? Did Tunnicliffe get tired of drawing toes? Or is that on a rock? And sometimes you look at the bird's foot, sometimes you can't see the toes. So if you can't see the feet, don't draw the feet. Just one more page of examples from Tunnicliffe. So this foot is partially obscured by whatever it's standing on. And so there's just kind of, you're going down here and it's like, yeah, there's some sort of a footness thing that happens out there. This gives you some permission to not have to get super fussy. This is William D. Barry. There is you sort of see that on this foot here, there's a suggestion that toes on the top. Oh, hold on, I need to do something with my screen. A suggestion that toes on the top are kind of angular, and toe in the back is sort of straight. All right, but are you able to count toes in there? No. This is just a really simplified bird foot. Let's look at this one here on the rock. The leg is coming down. There's something kind of flat along that rock with something hooking up that is suggesting a toe. Wow. Right. What about these distant little birds here? Look at how there's just sort of, things are kind of going down. There's something with some toes down there. And for these perching birds right here, look at how simply that foot is handled. You get a sense that there's some kind of birdie knuckles happening in there. But we're not kind of getting wrapped around the axle about every little thing. And then sometimes, other people hide the foot in the branches too. Sometimes you don't see the foot. And everybody just take a big deep breath and soak in some William D. Barry chickadee sketch here. This is my, if people who don't know, this is my personal favorite illustrator. I just love me some William D. Barry. And I love that little chickadee. What about Robert Bateman? Robert Bateman. What's he doing here on this branch? You have a sense that there's one toe in the back and maybe three wrapping around here. Here on this foot, I see two clear toes. But notice that these toes are not, noodled in with all sorts of tight detail. He wants you not to look here and here. He wants to draw your eye out here. If Bateman put in a whole bunch of detail here, your eye would go straight right in there. And look, sometimes Bateman hides the feet. What about David Sibley? All right. Here, so this is done with gouache on top of pencil. And what he's doing is he's drawing in the locations of individual toes. You can see that this middle one appears to be longer. You can see a back one hanging down and hooked around. And then he's just putting a layer of gouache over that. So it's covering up. There may have been a few. He's putting in a little bit of hint of scales right there, right in here where this back claw comes in. Take a look at another little Sibley foot. I see a hint of some toes in here. Look at this cool foot here. There's a hint right here on, there's a little wad here. The stalk comes down, there's a little swollen area in here and toes attaching to that. He just sort of is sort of showing that there's sort of a mass of toes that sort of sticks in like that. Not a whole lot of detail. Here, you're getting a hint of some scaling on the back, and you're getting an idea of knuckles here. Knuckles on the front and straight on the back. Knuckles on the front, straight on the back. So you look at this shape right here, and knuckles on the front. Right? So knuckles on the front, and then we've got this back one that is straight. He's quickly kind of putting in a suggestion that there are some scales in here, but he's not really getting into defining exactly where these are and what's happening with those. We go for one more Sibley sample here. Knuckles on the front, straight in the back. Let's bring this over here. So look at that kind of knuckles on the front thing. We've got, there's a toe that's wrapped around here. There's a toe that's sticking out like that. And so really all it is he's not really drawing the edges of those. You just have this one bump here that kind of bumps into that one. No highlights, no other details. And your attention is drawn up here into the rest of this Magnolia warbler. Here's a foot from the underside. Your branch is coming through. You've got a hint of some claws hooking around and then something coming straight in the back with a hook, with an L in the back. These hooks here. When you know that birds have 3 toes in the front, we're not able to see all those toes. Actually, there's another that is hinted in here just with pencil. Here, I clearly see 2 toes in front, 1 in back. Sometimes you don't see all those toes. One last example here, actually two last examples. This is from I'll find the right page. So I'm flipping through a book here. That is Drawing Birds by John Busby. Oops, you can't really see that because I'm so zoomed in. This is Drawing Birds by John Busby. John Busby has this really wonderful, I think Ray Bonto, you should check out some John Busby, British bird artist, does all this stuff in the soft pencil that you love. So this is done in soft pencil. And look at this foot. Look at that foot. There's a leg that goes down, and then there's something that is happening with claws out there. But because that's not really noodled in, your attention goes right here. This. This book it's a wonderful book and has a number of examples from different artists. This foot going down, look at how just loosely that's handled. And if I can find, this is the page I wanted to go to. Look at that. There is a line going down to a little squiggle on the branch. There's a line coming down here to a little squiggle on the branch. Now, the secret then, of course, is to make the right shaped squiggle, right? So if you're gonna make a squiggle, what's the right shaped squiggle? And so knowing a little bit about the foot anatomy out there is gonna really help. But just seeing all these examples from all these people, I hope this just is gonna give you permission to make, to kind of lighten up on the foot. That foot right there. Very often, like parts of something that if we are afraid of feet, then when you get to them, you just go crazy on the feet. But we're not gonna be afraid of feet anymore. Let's take a look at I'm going to share a screen with you.
Oh, Jack, we have a question about that last book. What was the name again? And the one by I think it was Busby with all of the different.
Oh, John Busby, Drawing Birds.
Thank you.
Drawing Birds by John Busby. And it's about drawing birds. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to get a little bit, we're going to get into, here we are. Okay. Here we go. Drawing some bird feet. Let me close out my floating meeting controls. So, hey, bird feet. That's what you do. That's some commitment to bird feet right there. Don't they itch? Don't the swallows itch when they're kind of nesting down there between your toes? I mean, that's what I find. So here you see some, these are some field sketches from Tanzania trip. And take a look at this bird foot. So it's a shaft that is coming down. There's a sort of larger bump. And then you see there's some sort of toe coming out in the back. In the back, we're coming out straight, little ball and a hook. This part, I just drew a little leg down. So you don't have to draw all of your feet. This foot up here, you've got a sense that there are some claws kind of coming around the top and a little one claw coming around the back. But I'm not getting in there and drawing toe, 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 toe. Here we have more bird feet. And If you look at these, birds can hold their feet at all sorts of different angles. You'll see some birds when they often when I'm looking at the birds, I will intentionally look at the feet to see sort of how they're gripping it. And so easier, by the way, with a spotting scope. So this bird's foot is coming down, and notice that its foot is not planted on the top of the branch. It's kind of coming in on the side. This one here, though, is coming in on the top of the branch with 3 toes wrapping forward. Generally, the bird pattern that you're going to see is 3 forward, 1 back. There are some exceptions, and we'll look at those. Look at this foot here. It's a little ball. And yeah, there's some different toes in here, but I'm not really getting aggravated about how to kind of lay each of those toes in. So here's the general bird pattern. In the back, if we do have a bird x-ray, the back toe has 1 bone in it and then a claw. So at that junction between the bone and the claw, it can bend there. It can also bend on the other end. So if this is that bone, the claw can bend here and the whole thing can move like that. But that back claw cannot bend in the middle. So there's 1 bone in the back, and now we're going to go from the inside out. There's 2 bones in the middle, 3 bones on the outside, 4 bones. So the result of this is, now notice that in my sketches, you're going to see that I am not counting, I'm not going like, and here's like this part here has, 1 part, I got to show this bone here, show this bone here. I'm not putting that kind of detail in my drawing. But be aware that the outside toes feel like they're wrapping around the branch. So they wrap around the branch. The inside toe, with just 1 place that it can bend, will often look really angular. So the outside one wraps. The inside toes, you'll often see that little joint where it is, where that 1 turn place can be, because there's just sort of 1 prominent spot. So as you're going towards the outside, the toes get a little bit more like a tube. And on the inner toes, they're angular. So toes drawn, foot drawn from the side. We don't want to draw the foot as if we're drawing it from the top, because from the side, you're looking on at the side of the foot. Here's another example of that. So here's for the science nerds in the house. Here's a little bit about bird feet and toes. Some birds, this is the typical pattern. Think 3 forward, 1 back. Right. The one on the outside, remember, that's the one with 4. Right. And what we're going to find is on different groups of birds, these toes actually can point in different directions. So here are 2 variations on that. What if you take the inner toe and you rotate it down? What happens if you take the outer toe and you rotate it down? So you now have 2 forward and 2 back. So am I counting numbers of bone segments in a woodpecker's foot? No, and neither is David Sibley. But it is helpful to know that in this sort of case, I've got 2 forward, 2 back. Weren't we just here? Yes, we were. And now, okay, so yeah, here's a side view of woodpecker foot. So side view of woodpecker foot. You've got 2 forward, 2 back. And you've got the side view of the foot. So you're not seeing the X, but you're seeing the toes forward and back. And then you're seeing in the background, there's another little toe that's hiding behind that other one. Now, Am I out there counting like how many, like 1, 2, 3, 4? No. But it is helpful but to kind of get that general 2 forward, 2 back in the field, we can do that. Here's a couple of other ways to have these footsies organized. Some birds have 4 forward, and some have some of those toes partly fused. So a kingfisher, for instance, the inner toe and the middle toe are going to be partly fused together. So you always see those ones together. The other toe can be spread apart, but there's these two then end up being, they're always kind of, you'll see them kind of hooked on together. And then webbing can be done in all sorts of different ways. You can have coot webbing, you see on the left. You can have duck webbing, top right. You can have partial webbing in feet, like a semi-palmated, palm for the web, sandpiper. And if that back toe swivels forward, you can also have all 4 toes connected together by 3 webs. And that's what you'll see on cormorants, which also called, what do they call them on skags? Skag? So somebody put it in the chat for us British birders. Skag?
Shag.
Shag. All right, the shags. And pelicans. So those are, so you can have these toes oriented in different ways. Right? And knowing those big gross differences is helpful. But hey, on your pelican, most of the time you're not going to see that anyway, because the pelican's either got its foot down, you're looking at sort of distance on a side, or the foot is underwater. So there you go. Here are, we want to think a little bit about that back toe. That back toe, let's jump back there for a second. Remember that back toe, 1 bone in there? That means that when that back toe is wrapping around a branch, it can bend here, it can bend here, but it can't bend in the middle. You'll see a bunch of people draw those back toes actually wrapping around a branch, bent around the branch, curving like a little hose, like a snossage around the branch, because they're thinking it's going to be like a finger curling around, but there's no bone to bend in it. So you'll see that straight and then hook in, straight and hook in, straight and hook in, straight and hook in. That's what the back toe does. Now the front ones, those are our wrapping ones. And so the outside toes are the most kind of floppy. The ones, if you are going to see big kind of clear joints in them, very often you'll see that on the inner toes here. So like you notice on this inner toe coming in, and then there's like a big, there's a big joint thing going on. There's a big joint thing going on here. Big joint here. And then this outer toe, it's more floppy wrapped around. On this foot, you're looking at the outside of this bird's foot. So this is its outside toe kind of curving around here. And on that inner one, that's where you're seeing that little joint in that toe. So inner toes, we really see the joints. The outer toes, those kind of wrap like little snossages around the branch. So you see this outer toe here really curled around. This inner toe here, there's an angle. You're seeing some angles in there. So here's a couple of birdies, and we're going to put some feet on them. What I usually do is I start by drawing my bird legs and a little ball for the feet, and then I put in my branch. If you draw your branch first, you end up having to stretch the legs out unnaturally to reach your branch, because you usually are not going to put the branch just at the ideal. But if you can get kind of leg positions that feel right, notice that this one's really foreshortened here towards you, so you can foreshorten those legs. Then you just put in the branch between those feet. So feet first, branch second. Make your branch to go where the feet are, not your legs extending out to unnaturally grab a branch that's then will be too far or too close. What I'm doing here is sending down a post with a ball, a post with a little ball at the end, or you can think of it as a little cone shape at the end of the foot. And now, if you're drawing the back view of the foot, you're going to have these straight toes that come down. If you have the front of the foot, you're going to be seeing those three toes coming in and wrapping around the branch. The middle toe will tend to be longer. You don't have to make that foot grasping with a power grip on the branch. Sometimes the bird will have its feet kind of loosely hanging on that branch. So I've sort of lightly suggested that the middle one here is longer, and I'm not really getting wrapped around the axle about, like, sometimes you don't really see all those toes. You saw in a bunch of those sketches by Sibley and others, sometimes they know that Sibley knows there's three toes there, but very often you're not seeing that. So just going to put in some representations of some toes. And then you put on the toes on the other side and some nails. So let's just back up here and we'll look at the top. I'm going to add in that nail on the back claw, and then we're going to see a little bit of the toes dripping down from the other side. I don't have to put in three. Maybe that other toe is separated there. And here you see this back claw sticking around. You see that back claw sticking around. So that back claw is going to come forward. So first start with the side that is closest to you, and then wrap the other toes around the other side there. Here all I've done is put a little bit of tone on that. And you can be done right here, but if you want this to look really kind of fancy it up a little bit of highlight goes a long way. Little bit of highlight, just to say, like, hey, these are scaly. A little bit of highlight says these are scaly. So you often get a highlight reflecting on knuckles, very often across the top of that little cone, or the ball at the end of the stick. You'll get scales going all the way across those. We saw David Sibley drawing that. And that's a really solid bird foot. So let's take a look at some of these sketches again, and you'll see me sort of doing these strategies. This little bird down here didn't get any bird foot. These ones up here, I've got, you know, there's sort of like, there's a bird foot in there, but you can sort of see things wrapping around the front of the branch. Here, we're looking around the back of the branch. So we have that straight toe. So we're coming to the ball, and then this is the front of the foot kind of disappearing here, and I'm letting it be a little bit angular. Back toe coming in straight with the claw hooking around. Back toe coming in straight, and then I got so distracted by something else that I never drew that coming around. But here you sort of see angular around the front end, and then straight on the back. Here you just see that things are angular in the front and straight in the back. Angular in the front. And that allows you to do just sort of, that way when you're making that little kind of smudgy squiggle at the tip of the foot, you have a general idea of where you're going with that. And so it actually represents something about the bird. So here, some of these toes here are foreshortened towards you. They're kind of wrapped around the branch. So I'm not seeing them all. You get a sense that there are things out here with kind of big claws on them and hooks. This little malachite kingfisher here, no, pygmy kingfisher. Ah, my apologies. Yep, little pink blush in there. This little kingfisher, no detail on those feet. Maybe sort of a suggestion that these might be separate toes. Back claw going down away from you, going down from away from you. Here's the cone. Here are toes. So suggesting, yeah, there's 3 of them, but not getting, if I get super rigid and then detailed and controlled here, this is generally a loose sketch. So I want to keep my feet in the same way. All right. So I am going to stop sharing that, and I'm going to jump back over to my document camera, because now we are going to just make a bunch of quick bird sketches if I can find. Oh, here it is. I'm going to back up first and just sort of think of bird. So if this is the mass of the body of my bird, I want to think of where in here is, if this were cut out of wood, right? Where would that balance? So you're imagining, say, a little wood bird. What is the balance point? If it's too far back, the bird falls forward. Too far that way, the bird falls back. But somewhere in the middle there is going to be your sort of balance point for your bird. So don't think of the tail as really having weight, but just sort of here in this core of the bird, I would say that its center of balance is maybe somewhere in here. Maybe like that, maybe here. I'll put this thing on a little point there to give, yeah, it's got a little bit of mass and that's a little bit more there. And that's roughly where the balance point of this bird is. So if I'm drawing a bird and it's balanced, you could have its feet, if its leg kind of came out here, its leg came down, the foot could be sitting right there. Or anywhere along this line. My leg could actually be coming out like this. And holding on there, and my bird is balanced, because wherever this point is, I just want to have my foot meet that branch or meet that balance point. And that could also be, the branch could be pointing in a different direction. I could have my branch like this. But that bird would then be balanced because its balance point is above its foot. Birds also have 2 feet. So It doesn't have to be exactly on this spot here. I'm going to draw another little bird here. In a slightly different position. And this one, I'm thinking its balance point is going to be somewhere maybe in here, somewhere along that line. So I could have the foot coming down in here, I could have the foot coming down in here. But look at this, if I draw this foot kind of coming out here and hanging on to the branch, you get the feeling that this bird is going to tip forward. But this bird's not going to because it has another foot. As long as I put that other foot on the other side of the balance point. So I want my foot either on or on either side of that balance point. So I can put a little stick in here with this bird's foot. And it's another balanced bird. Let's do one more like that. So I'm going to draw in, here's the back of my bird. I'm going to make this one kind of a long-bodied bird like you might get with a hummingbird. All right, so here's this bird in this very long horizontal posture. What are we going to do with its feet? Well, I'm going to guess its center balance is probably somewhere in there. Right. So I want to just have my bird legs on either side of that line. I'm going to recommend that you not make these leg lines come back parallel to each other. Right, so I'm not going to go like this. I'm not going to go, I'm going to do this in a color that I can erase. I'm not going to do this. Let's zoom down on this. Instead, try to get these legs to be at different angles. All right, so if I've got a foot that's coming in here, this one I'm going to have coming out like this. And this one, I'm going to have it coming down more like that. It'll be a more kind of dynamic pose. That's there, sitting there on the barbed wire fence. So why am I putting those legs at a slightly different angle? Enter the apple and the two toothpicks. This is my body of my bird. And the legs don't usually stick out of the bird like goalposts like that. They usually are splayed a little bit, giving the bird a little bit of a wider base. So if I'm looking at the bird from the front, then birdie from the front.
Jack, can you slide your paper down just a bit?
Oh, yes. Here's my birdie from the front. Thank you so much for keeping me on that. I'm not going to see them coming down like that. I might see sort of this wide sort of splay foot kind of a thing going But look at what happens when I take my splay foot thing and I rock it. Hold on a second. From the side, what you will often get then is these legs appear to. I'm trying to do the. Okay, here, and I want this way. There's the go. I want these legs to come forward. There we go. And if they're at a little bit of a splayed angle, then actually I'm going to have these come forward for like it's perching on a branch. Yeah, there we go. That's what I want. So if I'm looking at it straight on the side, yeah, those legs will line up. But if the bird's just at a slight angle here, then look at this. This one looks like it's coming out really straight. This one looks like it's coming out really straight. This one down more. So you very often get sort of a different apparent angle of those legs. With the upper one, the one further away from you, a little bit more horizontal. So let me just do some quick kind of bird gestures here. And just want a little kind of sparrowy sort of thing. That gives it, that's, so these actually, these lines, you're thinking of them as making a V instead of being parallel. That one has a foot there, there's a foot there. My branch is going to then come through, connect those feet. We're going to draw this one over the top, so I'm going to have knuckly kind of front. Knuckle, knuckle, two knuckles showing in the front. In the back, I'm going to go straight. And what about this foot here? Here's one knuckle, knuckle, and then this other one is going to be the hose wrapped around the side. There is my branch. Those are, that's a sort of a nice little leg position. Let me make a few, let's just play with a few foot squiggles. Here is my bird. Have this one have a totally flat back. Head is going to be in here. Body is going to be in here. Now, I'm roughly in here, so I'm going to have a leg coming out here, another one up in here. So I'm going to have roughly a foot in here and a foot in here. I'm going to zoom down on this and just sort of, oops, that's the wrong way. I'm going to zoom down on this just to sort of show you what I would sort of put in for a foot squiggle. So notice the size of my pen here. This is a smaller drawing. I'm not going to be able to get in a lot of detail. And my branch is going to be coming like this. So this leg is going to come down. I'm going to have 3 over the top. And so I just want to think of in the front, knuckly or wrapping loose. This is going to be a longer toe. and even more knuckly on this one here. The back toe is going to be coming out and swinging forward. If I want to, I can make, if I want to make this fancier, and put in more detail, I can actually turn this into a toe with a larger tip and give it a little nail. What about this one here? Inside, I'm going to get real angular. Then maybe my next toe is going to be more droopy. And then there's going to be part of this other toe. And I'm not going to draw much of it because a lot of it's going to be wrapped around the branch. I'm not going to be able to see it. That back toe is coming out and swinging down. Let's do a branch from the back. And then we're going to call it a day. Here is the shape of the head, the line of the back. This bird is going to have a head in here, a chest in there. It's looking away from me. So the eye is going to be closer to the front. Here's the plane in the back. Wings. Tail. And so this bird, I'm going to have, let me erase it. Little bird foot for you. So here is my foot. There's a little kind of swelling area at the base of it. And now I'm going to put in my toes. So the first, because I want to have this one be more of a back view, I'm going to put in that straight toe that comes down. And it has a claw. If I want to, I can even make that kind of bulby at the end. Because remember, there's sort of a little flesh lump there at the base of that toe. And then this foot is wrapping over the top of the branch. And so I'm not seeing most of that. So the foot branch is actually the branch I want it to come out like this. Here, this one coming down, I'm going to have that back claw straight with my hook. And there's a suggestion of some sort of angular thing going on the top of this branch. And now I'm going to put in a little hint of some claws on the other side. So I gets two. So I'm going to put in a little one thing in there. Gives me the sense that I'm looking at the back of that bird. I mean, that's not a very big sketch. I'm not having to get in there and draw in all this detail. Final thing I'm going to do is I just want to go back to one of these things. Let's maybe take another look at David Sibley and some Sibley bird feet and see, based on what you've seen here, if some of these make more sense. So here, look again, you've got that back straight one with the claw. You've got a few toes wrapping around. Nicely handled. What about in the front? You've got a sense in here that this is knuckly. So you've got this is one toe that's wrapping around. Here you're seeing this knuckle on the next toe, and you're not seeing the other toe. So a little sense in here of some knuckleness, and then straight on the other side. So he's not dropping in tons of detail here, but giving us, look at this. Oops, that's the tail. There we go. The side view, distant bird. This toe lines up with that toe. You're just seeing a few little ends of the toes there. All he's putting in for detail is right in here. A couple little lines suggesting that right in here, there's some little ridges in there. A couple little wrinkles at the base of that back claw. Straight with the bulge at the end and the hook. And these toes here wrapping around. Little sense of some knuckles. A little sense of, there's that knuckle angle in the front.
We have a question about which Sibley book was that just now?
Oh, so that, I'll hold that up in a second. That was, good question. If you want to get enlargements of David Sibley's drawings, these calendars. So David Sibley makes calendars. And you get these calendars, and you can see kind of, and they're printed here about the size that the originals were done. So you can look at these, and you're seeing the individual brush strokes that went into making these drawings that then get hyper reduced and put in the field guide. So that's why I really sort of at the if you look at the sort of the calendar-y part, no. But seeing how he handled putting his gouache, so these are gouache drawings. And you can see his line work, you can see his brush strokes. And for me, these are gold. So sometimes, partway through the year, stores that sell calendars will have kind of calendar closeouts, and you can go in there and for $1, pick up a calendar. So they allow you to see Sibley drawings made big. That's some bird feet, folks. We don't have to be afraid of the bird feet. They're knuckly in front, they're straight in the back, and play with them. And notice that a bunch of those other folks, even Robert Bateman, sometimes you can't see the bird feet. And you know why? Because sometimes you can't see the bird feet. So if we're always putting feet in our birds, then we're drawing something that we don't actually see. But if we're never putting feet in our birds, because we're scared of bird feet, then we're also kind of giving ourselves a limitation there. So I'd say draw what you see. And it's a lot of fun. I hope you had a good time with this, and I hope that this puts some toes on your birds. Have fun with that, everybody. And thank you so much for being here. Right now, I'm going to switch to our community cam and want to see, is there, for folks who haven't been with us before, what we do is this is an opportunity for us to share nature journaling inspiration. We can see what's in each other's journals. You can get lots of ideas from looking at other folks. We're going to start with our friend Walters. I hope you've been doing well. I hope that all of your bird boxes are, maybe there's some interesting things coming into there. We're going to allow you to unmute yourself. There you go. Hey, it's good to see you.
Hi, nice to see you too. So yeah, I actually have something going on in the bird nest box, and I will show in just a second. But first, I was this morning, I was out on the harbor wall, and so this is I think this was called the weather.
Yeah, the weed
or
eater?
stone chat.
Nice.
Or weather, yeah, I don't remember the English name. So just you were talking about the feet, and I was also trying to put some feet in here and here. So that's been a big struggle for me, because usually I'm just drawing like the birds, and just the feet are I'm not good at drawing the feet, so I just don't draw them.
Yeah. So now you can just sort of tweak that where every once in a while you draw them.
Mm-hmm.
But I find is it helps now. What will happen is that when the bird's there in your scope, you'll just kind of look down and go like, oh, let's see what I can see from the feet. Oh, there's kind of a side view of that, or I kind of get a little bit of a knuckle there. I like to say out loud what I see when I look at the book. Look at the bird's feet. I'll say like, oh, we're kind of attaching kind of partway down on the branch, and middle toe is kind of really knuckly up, and my back one is really hanging down far. That's all I have to say to then be able to get some of those details in my skin. That way, all my bird feet don't just look like they're based on something that I was looking at, rather than just being a generic symbol for my bird feet.
Yeah.
I love this line work. Your understanding of the anatomy really shows through in this line work.
Yeah, it was really fun. They were already starting to migrate here in like the beginning of April, and I was a bit like, I was a bit nervous because I hadn't seen one this year, and then I finally saw it this morning, and I was just so happy I sketched it. It was really fun to watch these guys.
I see that you've also asked a question in there. What question were you asking?
Yes, because they are, we know them. We have this Latvian name, which includes for the bird, which includes stone in it, and I was just asking because the harbor wall is like built up stones and with a lot of edges, and if they are nesting in this nest site, that I should come in the breeding season and try to find out if there are breeding pairs here.
Oh, well, that's a great plan. That's a great plan.
And I found it's northern weather. Yeah.
Yep.
A northern
weeder.
Weather, yeah.
Yeah. We make them hard to pronounce.
Yeah, sure do. So yeah, that was with the nature journal. Oh, and the nest box, and the starlings also doing their thing, sitting on top of nest boxes and marking by. They do this weird thing where they kind of sit on top of the nest boxes, and they kind of flap their wings and sing out very loud. So just did some sketches of that.
Oh yes, and I like those angles on the mouth. You've got by including that the tissue between the upper and the lower mandible. You're you're sort of keeping the structural integrity of that skull there. I like the way you handled the open mouth.
Yeah, it was very useful for we did the class. We did the class with the open bird, the singing birds. So that was very useful. And yeah, the bird, I was able to put a camera in one of the nest boxes, and maybe I will be able to even put it online, so for other people also to see. But now I hope that you will be able to see this. But this happened the other day right here. Yeah, they were visiting quite a lot that day.
That is amazing. Amazing. And you made it possible for these birds to reproduce by putting out your nest box line. What is it?
Well, there's still
30 boxes you have out there?
In total, I have 46.
46.
Yeah.
Man, this planet needs stewards like you. Would you be into doing a maybe for one of our workshops? I would love to kind of just be in contact with you offline to sort of take us through, how you go about researching the nest boxes, your process of building these, how you're putting them up, what you're doing to monitor them. If people wanted to also do some nest stewardship here, and then we could do some stuff with, drawing eggs or nestlings or things like that.
That would be very cool, but probably a bit later, like in the start of June, because it's still very cold here. Mm-hmm. So it's like spring is coming and it's sunny, but some cold like air waves have started to come in, and the birds have like the starlings, for example, haven't laid their eggs yet. Yep. They're just checking out and building the nests. And I heard the first hoopoe, the bird that I'm hoping to get in my nest box. I heard the first one today. And so, but yeah, probably that's going to be later. The chicks and also the second broods are for the starlings, and swifts have to come yet. So, but that would be amazing. I would love to talk about that.
Great. Let's so as it gets towards that, when it gets to be towards the time, give me a few weeks in advance. Give me shoot me an email and say, I'm thinking maybe 3 weeks out or so from when you want to do it, and we'll work through all the details and logistics. I would love for people to hear about the stewardship work you're doing and find out the results of your...
like 3 weeks out, then let's do it, because in 3 weeks it's probably gonna be in the peak. Okay. I think so.
All right, so
about 3-4 weeks, something like that. I'm gonna write in details. Definitely, that would be awesome.
Great. Yeah. So shoot me an email. We'll make this happen. I'm getting some thumbs up, and Ann Chadwick from Point Blue is also giving it mad snaps. So we've got this will be fun. This will be really fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, okay. Thank you so much.
Can't wait. Thank you.
Was there another thing you wanted to show?
Okay, just quick. I got this book, and just for the name, a lovely book. This is Warner's Nomenclature of Colors, adapted to zoology, botany, chemistry, mineralogy, and anatomy, and the arts. And the book Charles Darwin used to describe colors in nature on his voyage on the Her Majesty's Beagle. So that's a cool book. You can like open it, and then for example, blues, right? Blues. You go into blues and you read blues, a Scotch blue animal, throat of blue titmouse. Then, oh, Berlin blue, wing feathers of jay. So, and then he kind of here explains how greenish blue, the sky blue of Werner, is composed of Berlin blue, white, and a little emerald green. So you can try them and mix them. It's such a nice book to go through and study.
Oh, that's fun, and also fun to have that history behind it.
Mm-hmm. It's very interesting to kind of see a color and I'm gonna mix this, and then try by these instructions, try to match it exactly like it.
That's cool. That is so cool. I did not know that book even existed.
Yeah, very cool. I got it like a week ago or so.
And it's also fun just to think of it also being there on Chuck E. D's bookshelf.
Yeah. Yeah.
All
okay.
right.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you so much. That's so cool. All right, let me take a look here at our gallery and see who else has got some stuff. I see Jan and Ray Bonto both have something to share with us. Let's start with you, Jan, and then we'll bump over to London with our friend Ray Bonto. And hi there.
Hi there. So I'm on the Big Basin Volunteer Trail Crew, and obviously since August 16th of last year, we have not been able to go work in the park. So last Saturday, we had our first option to do trail work, not in Big Basin. They asked us to work in Henry Cowell at Fall Creek. And I just kind of wanted to share with people that exists, and also tell them maybe one of the reasons why so much of the parks, so many trails in the parks are closed. So this was Kyle, who is on the professional crew for state parks out of Santa Cruz. And he was telling us, I didn't have time to journal very much because we were working so hard all day on removing trail obstacles, sawing down trees, making burn piles, all of that. But he was telling us about cat face on burned trees. And I hadn't known about cat face at all. I'd never even heard that term. So that is when part of the tree is burned, and sequoias can survive that, but almost all the other trees that have that feature are going to have to come down if they're in a certain distance of trails. And so he has been inspecting these for months. He looks on the back side of the cat face to see if he sees small cracks. If he does, he knows the cambium has been destroyed and the tree's going to die, and he marks it. So anyway, these are the three aspects of one trail sign that went different directions. So this is where we were working high up above Felton. And it was just a great day to be back there with handsaws and loppers and chainsaws and all of that again.
Oh, thank you for doing that that conservation work in the park. That's terrific.
Yeah.
And it's also fun to see your sketch notes of it. Boy, it's amazing how the degree to which keeping sketch notes allows you to remember so much more and also be able to communicate it.
Absolutely, yeah.
What were the white-tailed kites up to?
Oh, the white-tailed kites, that was when I was biking at UC Santa Cruz. And, you know, when my normal bike ride where I go through the Great Meadow and do loops through the Great Meadow on the bike trail, I really hadn't seen many kites in the last couple of years. And so seeing two kites meet, one had a little bit of a buffy color. So I'm wondering if the juveniles are fledged yet. Is it too early? But anyway, so the kites, both of them flew into the same aspect above the arts building. And I didn't have enough magnification to see if maybe that was a nest site. So I'm planning on going back this afternoon.
Oh, that's really fun. I hope you get to see them.
Yeah, Anyway, thanks for the classes. I love doing this.
Oh, it's really good to see you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's jump over to Ray Bonto. Hey there, my friend. How are you doing?
Hi. So I decided to turn your sketches into real birds. So
Oh, this is really fun. This is really fun. Those really have the proportions and things. I love the way you simplify bird shapes. That is neat. That is wonderful. Thinking about birds in this way, and how the feet and legs really integrate, it allows us to have just this level of we can show the postures. The birds feel so much more like a living bird when we kind of play with the legs like this.
Yeah, and then after the park, I was sketching pigeons in flight. This was a starling. These are mostly pigeons on the ground, but some of them were in flight.
Oh yeah. Oh boy, that's. I again notice that Ray Bonto is doing lots of different sizes, lots of different angles. Sometimes focusing on the shape of the wing. Other times, whatever aspect of the bird, head shapes, head angles, patterns. You don't, every drawing doesn't have to be a head to toe portrait. You can focus on whatever part you're really interested in. And I also want to encourage people to consider making a bunch of drawings of different sizes, as you're seeing here, because if you do that, the challenge of doing it like, now I'm going to do larger, you're now going to be zooming in on part. Now I'm going to do it smaller. Now you're going to focus more on the posture. It just gets your brain to zero in on different sorts of aspects and details. That's really cool to see.
Jack, I have a question. How do you get a full body drawing in the field? And how do you improve layout in the field?
I'm sorry, your audio didn't come through that clearly. Could you please repeat the question?
How do you draw a whole body sketch in the field without making it too messy? And how do you improve layout?
So you're wondering about doing a sketch of the whole body in the field, and also thinking about layout on the page of where you're going to put what sorts of different information and what sketch. That might be a really good subject for a separate Thursday class. Should I put that on the books? All right, we'll do that. Recently something interesting arrived in the mail here, and I wanted to ask your permission to share it with the group.
Yes, I sent Jack a step-by-step. Okay.
Just yes.
Yeah.
Okay, can I show everybody? So check this out. I got this overseas envelope in the mail, and check out the Hummingbird step by step, everybody. This is a guide by Ray Bonto on how to do a watercolor drawing of a hummingbird. And you start by blocking in those basic shapes. And look at how Ray Bonto has got the the head and body forms here, just loose lines. And notice for this wing that is foreshortened towards you, just a slight little triangle out here, but that's going to be all you need as a placeholder for that wing. And then you draw on top of that to block in the major shapes and forms. So where you're seeing the different parts of the gorget, where you're seeing the pale and green patterns on the chest. Also notice the line variation that's going on here. Some places a heavy bold line, some places sort of using a light line, perhaps to describe interior features. If you use that same line weight throughout the whole drawing, it's not as dynamic or interesting a drawing. And also notice that the wings here are just left a blur. Just left a blur, because if somebody's going like that, you don't see it like that. Then with that pencil, using a really soft pencil here, and also in this kit came my very own, I'm now the proud owner of a 12B, the 12B dark pencil. And it makes these really, I now can make really rich darks like Ray Bonto. This is so much fun. Thank you so much. This is great. So then pushing in the values, darks and lights. And also notice these sort of darks on the throat here. Then Ray Bonto has put in with some shadow violet, a Daniel Smith color, blocked in the locations of some shadows, so here on the lower part of the body. And also again, notice punching in the dark right there at the edge of that gorget. Then on top of that, adding the color, and the shadows that you've already established show through. And then if you want to, you can also go over that with some colored pencil to pop other details and things. This is just so excited. This is an absolute treasure for me. And I just wanted to tell you how honored I am that you chose to give this to me and that you took the time to do this. Here is also another in the birthday card that you sent. Wanted to show this one as well. That is, and this is with my new, done with the 12B pencil that I now have. So I'm going to be able to get these nice rich darks like this too. I am so honored, touched, and delighted. And I just wanted to thank you so much.
I also have a little ink sketch on the very back of the card.
Isn't that fun? This is just so, this is an absolute delight.
Thank you.
Well, no, thank you. Thank you. You know, it's interesting in this, with this sort of isolation of COVID, and we're separated from people. And then we are coming together here regularly in these meetings. Over the last year, it's been an absolute delight to get to know you and Arpan. And thank you so much for reaching out to me in this way. Nothing could have made me happier.
Thank you.
And I'm so proud of you.
Thank you, Dad.
Thank you, Jared. Thank you for
Thank
being
you.
in our lives. Kind of revolves around
Can you
these
say that
classes.
again? You were muted.
Oh,
What?
Bonto's world Sorry, I was saying Rabonta's world kind of revolves around these classes and around what he does around nature journaling. He has been quite independent lately. He takes his bicycle out to the park himself, draws his own thing, and comes back with his own studies and stuff. And that's why we've seen a lot of new things come up. And it's very different the way he um, looks at nature, observes birds, and he just cannot not draw a bird if he sees that. And it's kind of a very proud moment, and nothing would have happened um, without your without support of the great community, without you. We had your book for a long time, but it was just a few pages, but it's just comes alive every day. Yeah, but we can't thank you enough for
Well,
being in our lives.
it's wonderful that we can be here for each other in this way. And Ray Bonto, this whole community over this last year has watched your work grow and bloom. And we can see you, we can see the number of pages that you're filling, the number of pencil miles that you're putting in, and then the result of that. And so, but not just as an artist, you're also developing as a naturalist and really thinking about these and learning the ways and the habits of these birds, discovering nests that just the other day when you held up your herons, maybe flash those on the screen again for us if you would. We really see what happens when you're motivated and you put in the time. Our brains change in response to what we do, and your brain has grown elaborate neural networks around the process of noticing, of wondering, of documenting it with your pencil. And and also I want you to realize that you are just at one point in this arc and the trajectory of where you are going. You're just starting with this. And it is really exciting to be with you on this journey. So this, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right. I am now going to jump over to the, let me see, the gallery again. Is there anyone else that would like to share or make a comment or thought? Nicholas. Nicholas, by the way, everybody, Nicholas and I are up to some schemes. We are, just as Walters and I will be doing, we're going to be developing a class for all of you that will take us all to the Arctic together. And, oh, goshawk?
Yes.
No. Oh, you got to tell us this story.
So that's a crazy story that happened yesterday. So I was down in Orwoods. I have a permanent plot for monitoring biodiversity there. I have to go every day and change the batteries on some of the recorders and some of the automatic cameras. And as I was changing the battery of one of the audio recorder, this crazy beast just zoomed past some of the big trees and just landed. It was just 5 meters from me.
Oh, I've never had a goshawk look like that. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa.
That was the only second time I've seen a goshawk in the wild. I've seen one before 20 years ago, and I was just by pure luck in the morning deep in the woods. And this one just landed and was shouting really loud. So I had the recordings of that too.
Well, let's hear if they're accessible.
I have it here, but not like accessible right now.
Okay,
So
okay.
next time I will play it to you. And then I noticed something. I was like puzzled by it because I never saw that before, and because they are not supposed to have a white butt here on the output tail, and then he had one, and I was like, oh, am I confused by my identification or what? And in fact, I learned afterwards that that's with the Sibley book, that they are sometimes doing that when they are breeding. And they're puffing their undertail feathers that are just down their legs, and then so much that they comes up above the feathers from their tail. So it looks like they have a white rump.
Oh, how cool.
And so that tells me that maybe there's a territory there. And that's the same place where I've been drawing the barred owl. And that's so that's a hot spot, I think, I hope. So, and then he was crying for a while, but I had my dogs with me that he was not scared of. And then I had some opportunity to see it very close. I didn't need binoculars and I forgot them that day. But that was no, that was great. So and then also I wanted to show that because I did a mistake when I did the drawing. I put I didn't have my color with me, so I did only with the blue and some notes. And then when I came back to put the colors in, I made a mistake with the black and I just blurred everything. And so I was really disappointed, and I just took Kleenex and then just some water, and I just wanted to remove some, and then that made a fantastic effect. And then it made me think about you, Rebanto. That's where you really push the blacks and put a lot of colors around your birds. So that's something that turned into an experiment for me to not to play too quickly with the dark, but also to try to come up with solution when I make a big mistake on something I don't want to redo at all.
Oh, that's exciting. So Ray Bonto, bringing you back here into this conversation here. So Nicholas has, oh, where'd he go? Nicholas has used strategies that he's seen from your journals, if you heard. So he's using strategies from your journals on the pages from his books. So what we're all doing here, anytime you see anything in anybody's journal, that you kind of like, okay, I like that. You can try those different techniques and approaches. It changes the way your brain's going to interact with the way you're drawing and whatever phenomenon you're looking at. So this kind of sharing of resources and observations is exactly, and ideas, is what's going to make this whole community grow faster and better. But Rebanto, can you imagine finding a goshawk like that? Wouldn't that be fun to sketch?
It would. I've never seen a wild raptor ever.
Oh, right. Well, we've got to do something about that. All right. It's going to be fun. And when you find, because you have practiced so much with the pigeons, that when you find your first wild raptor, your ability to observe, remember, and document is going to be way, way, way up here because you put in all the practice with the pigeons. The pigeons are teaching you how to see, how to notice, how to look deeper, and to observe. And then when you get that first wild raptor in front of you, your brain will be like, okay, we're now up here. Nicholas, also something that I noticed that you did that I want to also encourage people to do. So close up of the head, middle view of the body, distant of the bird on the branch, now showing the back view, flying through the woods. All these different angles, all these different ways of playing with these shapes and these birds. Each one of those views gets you to look at the bird in a different way. So this collection of things on the same page like that.
Thank you. And my spotting scope will be here by Tuesday.
Oh, nice.
Oh man. See, when you get that bad boy in your hands, there's going to be no stopping you. You're going to just it's so hard then to come back inside because you'll be able to see so much more. And then and you're not doing this with your binoculars. You're just doing this and looking down, doing this and looking down. Oh, it's going to be so much fun.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you so much for sharing that. That's so. And if next workshop we can get to hear the audio on that, that would be really cool. And we also really want to encourage you to get back out there if that is nesting in the area. If you have a cooperative, speaking of accipiters, a Cooper's hawk has just appeared I saw all these other little birds just scatter, and there's what looks like a Cooper's hawk, immature, in the backyard here.
So nice.
So same group of birds. Yep. They're forest birds that eat other birds, and that's why all my little birds are now nowhere to be seen. That's a goshawk.
There was the chickadees were getting crazy, and then I didn't know what it was, and that was maybe problem.
Yeah, it's neat to be able to listen to those alarm calls. As saying, sometimes I've heard anytime I hear alarm calls in the forest, I walk towards the alarm calls, and sometimes it's an owl, sometimes you can't find out what, but that's pretty cool.
No, I was really shaking after that. That's such a crazy bird. So yeah, that was something. Yeah,
that's
and
great.
I remember it better now with the tricks I got from being with you guys. So that's very helping me. Yeah.
Oh, that's fun. That's really fun. Thank you so much. Now I'm going to jump back over to our gallery view. So in just a moment, I'm going to be turning off the recording. And if anybody wants to share after that point, you are also invited to. Folks, thank you so much for being here with us. I want to encourage people to, with your nature journal, to get out there and see what you discover. And if you're in a place without raptors, see what you can discover, right? Nature is waiting for you. And it is where we can find a little bit of peace in the middle of this strange COVID time. There may even be a goshawk in your woods.